Junior high, 1929, I was a freshman in there.
In the new building, in the new building? I mean, when it was new?
Yes, open. Mr. Doolittle was my homeroom, and there were 2 or 3 of us that George Peck among one of them, and we flunked Latin or something. We had to come back to the junior high for that, and when we'd come out, occasionally we'd lock the door. And then, you know, we had fun.
There were pranks then?
Yes. No, we never did anything that was malicious or evil. Who locked the door? Oh, never knew. Well, anyway, then we moved up on Clinton Street, just second house down from the railroad tracks. Joe Barone had a store across the street. And I was there all through high school. And played basketball in high school and failed. I didn't graduate. I was supposed to graduate in 43, and those days you didn't have guidance counselors, so they just go and say, oh, by the way, you're not graduating.
You had so much fun.
Yes, well, and you know, actually, Helen, 2 or 3 of the teachers said, you know, you could blame us for some of it, because they had eligibility then, and I'd get a slip that I was down in history or math or whatever. Go to the history teacher, she, now Carlotta, who was the first president of the United States? And I'd tell her, she, oh, good, now we got to win that game tomorrow. And really, a couple, 3 of them said, we never made you do anything, and nobody ever did. Miss Buckley, she married John McGovern. She put me outside her door one time for talking, and I waited a few minutes, and I rapped, and she came to the door, and I said, excuse me, Miss Buckley, I'm sorry, I'm late. Now, we had fun, you know.
I got it.
Somerville, I think was his name.
It's 4 o'clock p.m.
Thank you. And he'd walk down a very stern goatee and so on, and if he'd see boys coming down with their hands in their pockets, he'd stop and he'd say, young gentlemen do not walk around with their hands in their pockets. Or if anyone was leaning against a wall, young ladies, you have 2 feet, stand on them. The wall is not to hold you up. I mean, it was real.
That's where you learned some of your techniques at the library, I think here.
Yeah. Then the French teacher, Barb Stowe was my French teacher up here.
Barb Stowe Putman.
Putman, yeah. And she handed me a book, and she said, read. Well, I got about 4 words out, and it says here, you've taken French. Where? And she said, I don't care if you don't even know where France is or what the capital is, you're going to learn to speak and read and write French. And we said, Madame Schluter, we said, are you coming to our graduation? She said, I'm not paid to go to that, I'm paid to teach you. So anyway, I graduated from there and I went to Ithaca College.
And then how did you get in the armed services? Because I know you did that.
Finished Ithaca College and graduated in 39 and taught phys ed at Owego, New York, Owego Free Academy. For about 2 years, went in the service in 42.
That was after the Second World War had started?
Yeah, and went to Fort Demoyne, went in as a private, and within the year he died, so then I owned a big mill. So
You were an only child?
Yes, and of course I'd grown up all around down the feed mill, but I knew the men. This was Jentz, or this was Hans, or this was Paul Christensen, or somebody Christiansen, or so on. The biggest job I had was to learn their names.
Now, how long did you keep the feed mill then?
About 10 years, and then I decided that it was time to sell it, that it needed a man, because I'd go out to call on the farmers, buy hay or something like that, and they were very much gentlemen. They'd take me into the house, and the wife would have coffee or donuts or something, and so I sold it to Emery Fox, and I think it was 61, I think, 1961. But in the meantime, I knew I had to do something. And I didn't feel I could go back into physical education, so I went over to Geneseo to inquire about a library. They were going to have an on-campus graduate course in library science. So I went in the office, and this lady said, well, Mr. Vidodo will be free in a minute. He came out, and he said, this lady would like to talk to you about her daughter being in the library class. I said, no, me. The daughter. So I was about 45, I guess, then. I went in 59. And boy, that was 20 years after I graduated, and I didn't know how to study from diddly squat. And had a little bitty apartment because I came home weekends, hadn't sold the mill completely. And these two girls and a boy, they would come up, they were in their 20s, and they helped me learn how to study again and so on. And then I had to turn in our first paper to be typed a certain way. Well, come on, this was my typing. And I sat there the night before and I thought, this is ridiculous, because at the time my writing was pretty legible, so I submitted it in the morning, and this Dr. Mack said, I'm sorry, I can't accept that. And I said, well, gee, Dr. Mack, at the risk of seeming disrespectful, did I come to become a librarian or a typist? And she said, I will not accept it. I said, yes, ma'am. So the two girls, in order to pay for the little hospitality, they did all my papers for me.
Now, did you go then directly from there to the academy?
No, I went to Irondequoit, West Irondequoit. And it was fun though at school because I had a dog with me in the first class I went to. I went early and I took Nicky with me and put him, I sat in the back, put him under the seat, never made a sound, and we went all through the class and I was waiting for her to leave. So I could, and she didn't, she said, where'd the dog come from? And I said, well, he's been here all. So she said I could bring him anytime I wanted if he behaved like that. So, but the kids, the younger ones, they'd say, hey, Kirk, ask her this, that, or ask this or that, you know, because one time this one teacher was talking about the CBI, and I thought, what is that? And I told them I didn't know anything about library. So finally I said, I don't know what CBI is. To me, it's a China-Burma India Theater of Operations. Somehow I don't see any connection with the library. She said, Miss Crosier, it's the cumulative book index. I said, thank you very much. So after that, the kids would all say, hey, Kirk, ask them this, that, or the other.
So you were their spokesman?
Yeah, because I was in my 44, 45, and they were 21 or 2, and they didn't. West Irondequoit, but and when I went to West Irondequoit, Helen Rice was the librarian there. She was known all through the state as being an excellent librarian, and they needed an assistant. So I had the interview and all the rest of it, and Helen Rice, she said, well, I'd love to have you here. Well, I talked to the principal, and he said, we settled on a salary, which I don't honestly remember at this time. But I know when I went to Owego, it was $2,100.
That was, what is that, before?
Well, it was 30, not 40. Mm-hmm. And so I talked to the principal, and he said, well, Miss Crosier, if it's all right with you, we'll let you know in 10 days, a couple of weeks. And I said, well, sir, it really isn't. He said, what do you mean? And I said, well, apparently you like me. Miss Rice seemed to accept me. I could have gone lots of other places for interviews, but I would like to be with Miss Rice if it's possible. And don't you think you could tell me before 10 days or 2 weeks if you don't want me? And, well, he said, I'll see. So a couple, 3 days later, he called and he said, Miss Crosier, would you like to have this job in Western? I said, yes, sir. I mean, so I was telling the younger kids some of that. They said, well, you don't do that. And I said, well, why would I go chasing around wasting other principals' times and mine too? So they tried it a couple of times. Anyway, I was there, I think 6 or 8 years. I'm not quite sure. Helen. And then Martin.
Marge McCann.
Yeah, she quit, so on. So I called, oh shoot, my senior moment here now. Oh, you know.
Was Dave Durkee the principal?
He was the principal.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I took the job. And
what year was that? That was.
I think it was about
I
think it was about 68. I'm not 100% sure, but it was right around in there. And
didn't they hire Rhoda Miller at the same time?
Yep.
Two librarians?
Yep. And we got along beautifully because she was really the intellectual, and she didn't know quite how to handle kids that had a little, you know.
Well, I just remembered that the two of you ran that library like clockwork. I mean, there was nothing that a kid couldn't find.
Well, we divided up. I said, Rhoda, if it's somebody you have trouble with, send them to me, and I'll send the brainy ones to you.
And it was not noisy, let me tell you. No. It was nice and quiet.
Yeah. And I remember I told him again when I said, you know, I don't think you have to be absolutely still, but if you're talking too loud so it disturbs me, then that's too loud.
Well, I remember it was quiet, and it wasn't always. We had some noisy times
Yeah.
at the library.
Oh,
but
sure we had.
Not when you and Rhoda were there.
Oh, we had a good time, and
And then did they cut a librarian's job at the high school and you went to the middle school?
no,
Or
they
how
wanted
did
to
that?
enlarge the middle school,
Oh, okay.
or, yeah, junior high, and so
Junior
Eleanor
high.
Reynolds and I went over there. And
But they only left the high school with one
Yes.
librarian then?
yeah, and I don't know, I've tried to figure it out, I called Eleanor and she wasn't sure either. But I retired in '76, that I know, and so I probably was over there 2 or 3 years, or in the middle school or junior high, whatever you want to call it. And it was funny too, when those kids came in, I said, well, you know, I'm not used to any of you people. I'm used to the high school people, and you're not used to me. So we're going to start even. And we had, you know, good times, and there was one boy who was acting up, so I put him in the corner. He said, Miss Crosier, that's for kids. I said, that's what you're acting like as a kid. So stand there in the corner with your face in the wall.
Now, before we leave the school scene, we've got to have a story
And the
about
pantsuit?
the pantsuits, because when I started teaching, we wore dresses,
Yeah,
the men
well,
wore
what happened was the, what did they call it?
Middle Atlantic
evaluation team came. Well, the woman who was in charge of it, I knew her from West Irondequoit. Not well, but I knew who she was, and she came in and visited. She said, you got any problems? And I said, yes. We'd like to wear pantsuits and so on. And she said, well, you're not? And I said, no. She said,
We already had requested it,
Yeah.
and were turned down several times.
and so she said, next day she came, she had one on. She said, well, I'll wear mine while I'm here.
And I think you wore one soon after that.
Yep, and then I wore one. I figured if she got away with it, well then Mr. Durkee somewhere, I think there was as I recall, I think it was like a holiday or something, a party at his house, and he said, well, I have an announcement to make. You may wear pants!
But he insisted that they be pantsuits.
Yes,
He said,
pantsuits.
because he said if we allow pantsuits, the next thing you're going to want to wear is just slacks and a blouse.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
But at least but this Mrs. Smith, she was the one, she says, Kirk, I'll help you with that. So she wore hers the next couple, and then I wore one. And he really couldn't say too much because there she was, the evaluator.
Well, I remember you as the pioneer
Yeah.
pants lady.
Yeah, that's I don't know what, oh, I know another